Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, depending on wherever you're watching me from. Welcome to another wonderful edition of Sidat HR Digest brought to you by Sidat Consult, your trusted HR partner. So you're welcome. Please let me know where you are watching us from in the comment section so that we can acknowledge you. Today is another episode where we are going to learn a lot and enhance our profession in HR or other HR we find ourselves in. So today and this episode we'll be discussing HR budgeting and planning. And we say that you can count on us that we will bring in nothing but the best to discuss areas of concern. So before we delve into today's, I would like to tell you more about SIDAT. In this dynamic and ever-changing business landscape, you can depend on SIDAT for a dedicated, innovative, and tailor-made HR solution that meets your specific business need. SIDAT is into HR advisory, recruitment, and talent acquisition. We are into training and development, staff outsourcing, job analysis, performance evaluation, salary benchmarking, compensation, and benefit. So whatever your HR needs, feel free to reach us at CDAT. We are here to assist you with your needs. You can visit us on our website, www.sidatconsultlimited.com, or write to us at info@sidatconsultlimited.com. Or you can call us on phone by 0244 629 245 or 0550 883936. Say that your trusted HR partner. So back to today. Today we'll be looking at HR budgeting and planning. So wherever that you are, let me know in the comment section. Introduce yourself and I'll be glad to. So we have Victor Owusu, glad to be here, and we have Benjamin Cranton. He also said great. It's wonderful to have you here for another discussion into HR. So today we are blessed with a wonderful guest. I introduce him. I will introduce my resource person today. He's in the person of Zachary Adumaku. He's an HR professional with over 10 years experience in human resource leadership role. Currently, he's the human resource business partner for Middle East and Africa region for Bunge Loaders and Crookland, a manufacturing company in the Tema Free Zones with responsibilities covering Ghana, Burkina Faso, Egypt, Ivory Coast, and Togo. He worked as the compensation and benefits manager for Olam Ghana, where he later on moved to head the role of HR for the food packaging business of Olam Ghana. He started his career with Barclays Bank, now ABSA, as a loan and recovery officer and later Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management, and currently the vice chairman of the Accra chapter of the Institute. So without much ado, or I say, let's welcome Zachary Adomako, who will be our resource person for today.
Thank you very much, Eben, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of us who are on the call today. Let me say a big gratitude to
Good evening, Zach. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Can you hear
Good
me?
evening, Zach.
Good evening. I can hear you. Can you hear
Yes,
me
I
as
can
well?
clearly hear you. Good evening.
Okay, great.
Yes, please. You're welcome.
So, thank you very much. Thank you, Ben, for the introduction.
It's good to have you today, and I believe you are doing well.
Yes, by God's grace, I'm very well. Thank you, and I hope you're also good.
Okay. Okay. So today we are going to have a crucial topic that we are going to discuss. That is budgeting and planning. You know that for HR, for you to undertake any initiative in every organization, you need to have a budget for it. So that is the beginning of every HR activities in every organization. So you are privileged to walk us through this session, and I believe myself and my viewers are going to learn a lot from this session. So before
Exactly.
we start, I just wanted you to just run us through what HR budget and planning is all about. Then you take it up from there. So,
Thank you once again, Eben. And once again, let me say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to our viewers across the globe. It's a privilege to be here to share with us HR budgeting and planning. And let me also say a big thank you to Sedat Consult and the entire team for the great work that you are doing. I think it's important that as HR practitioners, we get to learn, we get to understand some of these things that pertains our career and our expectations as HR leaders. So it's a very good platform for learning, and I believe anyone and everyone who has been joining every Sunday is learning something new to help at his or her organization. So thank you once again. So this afternoon or this morning, this evening, we are talking about HR budgeting and planning. I know for some of us, when we talk about planning or budgeting, we want to relegate this to the finance team. It is assumed that most HR practitioners are scared of the figures, are not too comfortable dealing with the figures, and we want to relegate this to some other departments like finance. However, it's important that as HR professionals, we take ownership of our budgets and we do it to align to the business plans and objectives. As HR, we are the leaders. We've been talking about the fact that we have moved from the traditional transactional HR practice to a more strategic role. We want to sit at the boardroom. We want to be part of the C-suite. And what does that mean? It means when it comes to activities like budgeting and planning, we must take lead and we must present budget that will help the organization to achieve its objective. So we're going to look at some few areas that are identified in this for this discussion. Let me move to this rather. Yes. And we're going to look at what HR budget is all about, what the benefits are, some components, what constitutes the HR budget, and then what to look out for in preparing your HR budget. And then also some HR budget tools, things that we can use to help prepare our budget. So I want to invite you to come on board. Let's do this together and let's learn something today. Okay. So what is HR budget? Okay. HR budget, and like we know for budgeting, it is a provision, an estimation or provision that we are making, financial provision that we are making to meet all HR related activities in organization within a particular year, financial year or fiscal year. Okay. There are budgets that you want to prepare over a period of time, 3 years, 5 years. But most of the time, we want to concentrate and prepare a budget within our financial year because there are specific items or specific objectives that you have within the year, and you need to plan for it, and you need to make provisions for them. So it is mainly the financial provisions that we make in alignment with business strategy. If we want to be strategic business partners, whatever we do when it comes to budgeting, whatever planning we do must align to what the business has planned for in that particular year. And that is what will make the difference when the leaders of the business, the general managers and the CEOs are talking about HR. If the HR, as HR, if you're able to present your budget to fit into what the business seeks to achieve, then you'll be recognized as a thoughtful leader and as a business partner within the organization. And I'm also saying it also includes both CapEx, so capital expenditure and then OpEx. Usually, when we talk about budgeting, HR budgeting in particular, we always think about provisions for employee related activities, so salaries, training, and all of that. But it goes beyond that. Cars, in case you have a sales team and you've observed that there's a need to get a vehicle for your sales manager because that is a peg that is competitive in the market, and if you are not able to provide this, it's going to cause or it's going to lead to you losing that employee, or it's impacting the work that a person is doing. Then you have to plan for it. Now, these items like the cars, laptops, softwares, they are assets that the company will provide for and will depreciate over a period of time. Okay, so they are capital expenditure items. And as HR, you must know the items which you classify as capital expenditure. You don't put everything together and say, okay, this is what I think the business should provide for me as budget to spend. You must be able to distinguish what is related to capital expenditure and then the other which is more operational. So employee cost, utility cost, stationaries. When you're able to distinguish and prepare your budget in this way, it helps you to justify it and it helps to get the approval that is required. If you have to buy 3 cars, that's quite a huge amount of money, right? So if you put it together, definitely you are going to receive a lot of questions. But if you're able to distinguish it and say these are capital expenditure assets that we need to provide for. Why? Because there's a need for us to provide this asset to our sales manager to aid and to help in his work. It is something that is required. As a business, we think we want to increase our revenue, and for us to do that, I believe as the HR lead, we need to provide this vehicle. COVID taught us one thing. I mean, I'm sure in most organizations, provision of laptops were limited to managers or some specific roles. But today, we are making this provision to a lot of employees because some employees are allowed to work from home. And if you are working from home, you need a laptop. So if there is a need for it, you need to make provision for it. And using or having a laptop is not just for a year. It is something that probably you want to use for 3 years or more. And you need to distinguish that from the operational expenses. So in summary, this is how I'll put an HR budget, or I'll define an HR budget. And it is very important that as HR leaders or HR practitioners, we understand what it entails when we are defining our budget and how we need to distinguish between our capital expenditure budget and our operational budget as well. Moving on. So types of budgets. If I have to prepare my budget, how should I, look at it? How would I prepare for it? There are 2 types that I'm familiar with. That is the zero-based budgets, which is usually for new budgets. So probably you are now going to start the budget for a new year. You do not want to, even though you would have to look at the previous year, you still want to take the budget as a whole, something new that you want to work on. Okay, so you are not considering whatever happened in total in the previous year. And also assuming maybe your budget for the previous year did not meet expectation and you do not want to consider it, then you consider a zero-based budget where you put all the various activities that you need to make provisions for and start afresh and make provisions and budget for them. Okay, so the focus is on planned activities. You must have activities that are planned, the various HR activities that you'll be engaging. And once you know them, you do your market surveys, you understand what it will mean for you to be able to make provision or able to prepare for it. Then you can budget accordingly. Also, we have the incremental based budget. And this is based on the previous year's budget. Okay. So in 2022, you had a budget, you went through the year. Before preparing the new budget, you want to look at what you budgeted for and how you have spent the money, whether you have spent within your budget or whether you have overspent. And based on that, you want to use that data to develop your new budget for the next year. Okay. So with that, you're able to identify line by line areas where, okay, you think you overspent and probably you need to restructure how you spend when it comes to those lines. And areas where maybe you underspent, then you check, okay, maybe there's no need for us to increase. It's possible that we may have to even reduce our budget allocation for this specific item because we are not doing much when it comes to this particular aspect of our activities as HR. It helps you to prepare and to make sure that your budget is within an acceptable provision that the business or the organization will give you, the mandate that organization will give you. Okay. And I'm saying that it could either be an increase or decrease. So if you budgeted 100,000 USD for the previous year and you reviewed your expenditure and realized, okay, you even spent less than that. What it means is you over budgeted. And if you forecast into the new year, are you going to do anything significant that will require a lot more money? If yes, you make provision. If no, then you have to adjust your budget to meet what is expected of you as the HR leader. So it's important. It is not about just making the provision, okay? And it's not just about budget. Most of the times we feel, okay, I'm just making a provision when we spend and there is still some outstanding, it still remains with the business. It doesn't work like that in most instances because the business wants to really prepare for it and want to make provision for it. If you over budget, then funds that can be used for other things are kept with HR and the business will make some losses because they can't invest those funds into other important business ventures. So it is not just about making provision and saying that, okay, at the end of the year, if we spend less than what we provided for, the rest remains with the business. No, it is allocation of funds to meet the business objectives and making sure that the business has funds to do other important strategic, objectives as well. Why HR budgets? Why HR budgets? It's important. HR budget is important because what? It aligns with the strategic business goals and objectives. Okay. So as the HR leader, you don't just get up and decide to prepare your budget. Before you prepare your budget, you need to understand what the business or your organization is looking at achieving in the coming year, what the goals are, what the plans are. And then out of that, define your role and activities that will help the organization to meet its objective. So you are strategically aligning yourself to the business objectives and making sure that you have provided the necessary funds or you've made the necessary provision to help the business to meet its strategic goal. And also to ensure proper and efficient allocation of funds. So like I said, it's not just about putting money down and just using it. You plan and make estimates knowing that I need to spend 50,000 on recruitment. Once you have that in mind, and if it's well done, if there's a thorough assessment and estimation, it will guide in the use of the fund. But where you just put in money and you are using it because the money is there, then there is no, proper usage of the funds that has been located for you. So as HR practitioners, it's important for us to understand that we need the budget to ensure efficient allocation of funds. So that if you are allocated with 100,000 USD as your budget as HR department, how are you going to allocate it? What are the specific line by line items or activities that are supposed to meet the strategic objective, and how are you allocating those funds to ensure that you're able to meet the business objective? And also it promotes HR partnership. We want to be at the top. We want to sit in the boardroom. When we go to the boardroom with figures, we go to the boardroom to explain why we need this funds, and we go back again and explain what the provision of these funds has been able to help the business achieve. It makes us, or it puts us at the top. We should, and as HR practitioners, it is important that we are able to talk the figures. We are able to, let the business know with data that, okay, the funds that we have been provided with, this is how we have allocated them, and this is how we have used them. And this is the benefit, the return on this investment on our business. So that when you do this, everybody in that boardroom, everybody in that management team would appreciate your contribution to the business. It is said that HR is we don't generate revenue. We're a cost center that spends. So if you are a cost center that is spending, what contribution are you bringing on board? You do not sell. You are just spending. What contribution are you bringing on board? The best you can do is to ensure that you allocate funds efficiently. And in doing this, you make sure that it aligns to the business goals and objectives. Once you're able to achieve this, it becomes even easier when you share proposal, you share recommendation to your board, to management for certain HR activity or initiative. It's easier to get approval. But if it's just spending and there's no return on the investment, then we find ourselves wanting. So this is why we need the budget. And this is why we need to take ownership of the budget. We do not have to relegate it to someone else to do, because probably we are not too good with handling figures. No, if you are HR practitioner and you say you are not too good at handling figures, then I will urge you to go back, get some experts, get some people to help you to develop that skill of handling figures and putting figures together and putting data together to justify why you need a 50,000 USD for a particular initiative. When we're able to do this, it puts us at the top. Our presence will become more relevant to the business, and our position will be acknowledged. Moving on. Here, we want to deep dive into the components of HR budgets. HR budgets. So when we are preparing our HR budget, what are the line by line things that we want to look at? What activities are we looking at getting funds to use or to apply to? Okay. And the first thing that I'm talking about is talent acquisition and recruitment. I mean, as an organization, you know that definitely you may have to recruit. We always want to ensure that there isn't high turnover, but definitely within a year you could have someone exiting the company, and it will call for what? Recruitment. So you would need to plan. And assuming your business is going on some form of transformation, maybe there is some expansion, introduction of a new business, building of a new plant, then it will call for what? Hiring of more human resource. You need a human resource to help probably operate this new plant. And what that will require is what? A lot of recruitment. How are you going to do this recruitment? How are you going to get this talent on the market? Is it through the print media? Is it through the internet? You need to take all of this into consideration. Are you going to use agencies? Are you going to use recruitment firms? You need to put all of this into consideration and then put some value into it. Investigate, do a survey, go out to the markets to check how much would it cost me if I have to advertise a role on television, if I have to advertise a role on the radio, if I have to advertise a role in the dailies, or I have to get or go headhunt through an agency. So you need to do all of this search and understand how much it will cost you. With that, you can put some provision to your talent acquisition. You need a talent. You need a talent, and if you do not prepare adequately for it, you will be found wanting, because then you will not have the right amount of funds needed to get the right talent from the market. So talent acquisition and recruitment, it's one of the areas to consider when you are preparing your budget. And when you do this, you are going to what? Help improve on your recruitment, because you have the funds which has been made available to you, and you are utilizing it in the right direction to get the needed talent for your company. You may have to do background checks, either police or medical checks. And I know for some organizations, this is borne by the company. So once you're able to align to the business strategy, you're able to align with the various heads of department, understand the human resource need of the organization in the coming year, you prepare adequately for it, and you make the necessary provisions for that. The next one is training and development. I mean, our labor acts talk about the fact that as employers, we need to train and retrain employees. It is something that we cannot run away from. Each and every year, it is required for us to train. Within the period, you may identify some skills gap which needs to be, filled, which needs to be corrected. Probably you may have some new technologies. There's plan to probably introduce some new technology in the coming year. It will require training. And once it requires training, it means you have to prepare for it. Okay. You want to implement some learning platforms. I recall in my organization, so like Eben said, I work with a manufacturing company in the free zone. And when we set up this factory and we started running, we needed a team, to be up and doing with the technology that is applied in the plant. And we needed them to also be available to work. It was a struggle getting the employees to give them the necessary training after the plant started. Why? Because of non-availability of time. So we took a decision to rely on some learning platform, e-learning system, LMS. With that, we believe that they could, at their own time, learn on their own. And indeed, this helped us a lot. Fortunately, we were able to get a service provider that gave us a platform with a lot of engineering training. And the team really appreciated it, because at the time we were focused, the focus was to get our plant stable and running. And we know that as a business, we needed to provide training for the employees as well. So in order not to miss this, the decision was taken strategically to provide the e-learning platform at their own time, at their own pace. They could learn. And we had to then investigate, get a service provider, make provision for it, provide the employees with the necessary tools that are required for them to be able to, make good use of the platform that has been provided. And within the period, it helped. Today, our brand is very stable, it's running, and we're able to make time to provide face-to-face training for them. They go out to have some other training. So this is one component that we always consider as HR as part of our budget. And it is very, very important that as an HR practitioner, when you are planning your budget, you do not forget about training and development. I mean, I work in a free zone, and by the Free Zone Act, it is expected that we allocate a certain percentage of our annual salary for training. You cannot mess it. If you do, or if you do not use this money, you end up paying penalty on it. And I ask myself, why would I allocate funds, not make it available for the employees, and then would have to pay penalty on it? So make sure you plan well, know exactly what is expected or how much is expected of you to put into your training and development. Understand the developmental needs of your employees. Maybe there's need to have some certification. As someone who works in a manufacturing company, there are a lot of certification that as the company we need to acquire. And before you get that, you need to train even your employees to have some specific certification before you can go on. So if you are looking at going for an FSSCC or a GMP plus certificate, you ask yourself, are your employees equipped? Do they have the required certification to be able to be part of the team that will run this project? If not, then you make provision and you prepare for it. The next one is DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is an area of HR that has come up very, very, prominent in recent times. We cannot run away from DNI. Why? Because every organization wants to encourage inclusion, wants to encourage diversity, wants to embrace, people from different tribe, ethnicity, race, culture, religion. And it's important that as HR practitioners, we take conscious effort to make provision for this. I see in these times, when it comes to DNA, what is required more is what? Training. Bringing our leaders, bringing even every employee within the organization to come to the understanding of why we need to be inclusive. We need to embrace diversity within the organization. So if you observe that in your business, it's lacking, then you want your business to be known and recognized out there. You want to be an employer of choice. You want to promote your brand. You cannot do that without this. And if it's the strategy of the business to promote the brand, then you tell your business leaders, this is an area we need to focus on and we need to make provision for it. And then also HR technology. HR technology. So your organization, if you are running your own payroll, and maybe you are even using just Excel. Over the period, the business is growing. There's a need to introduce some technology. So you want to get what? A payroll software. You want to get a solution that will provide an end-to-end HR service for you. So from recruitment to even exit. I know of solutions that helps with organizations from when they want to recruit to when the employee decides to exit the business. So from when the position is created, from when the position is advertised, to recruitment, to onboarding, payroll, training, developmental plan, performance management, and everything. So you want to invest in this, and investing in this will require what? Some allocation of funds. And therefore, as HR, you must have that at the back of your mind. Is that the vision of the business? If the business says this is what we want to do, come next year, we want to invest in technology, you need to make provision for it. Okay. Learning management technology. I just mentioned about what we did in our business some years back. So you want to create some learning platform for your employees so that at their own time, they can sit behind their machines and also learn on their own. You need to make provisions for this. And COVID has taught us one thing. I mean, remote working or hybrid working as it is now. Um, Previously, it was just senior managers who could have access to laptops, but today it is not just senior managers. So you must review your business strategy and say, are we still encouraging, or are we aligned to to the hybrid structure of work? And is this something we want to encourage? In today's world, that is the most preferred. Do we have the logistics? Do we have the laptops? Do we have, the provisions for employees to work from home? If not, then we need to make provision for that. Employee engagement and recognition. You want to keep your team engaged. You want to have a community where everybody is motivated to work. So there are times you need to test the pulse of employees. So the business at a point want to find out how do our employees feel about everything we are doing within the organization, and want to deploy an engagement survey. You want to also make preparations for that. Apart from salary, which I'll talk about, there are other perks that you want to consider, other recognition. So monthly employee award, long service award, outstanding performance. Maybe if you find yourself in a manufacturing sector where we are very conscious about safety, you want to put in some recognition for employees who are safety minded, who are reporting safety issues and are bringing ideas to ensure that your environment, your working environment is safe and everybody comes to work safely and goes back home safely. So you need to make provisions for this. Employee health and safety. It is our responsibility to make sure that employees are always in very good health. So every year you want to have health screening, okay, to help employees keep up to very good healthy living. You want to have health talks. You want to have some health work. You want to provide probably an on-site clinic so that in case something happens, employees wouldn't have to travel a longer distance to be taken care of. You want to make that provision within your, working location. And for you to have this, and if it's the business plan, you need to prepare for it. You need to, budget for it. Now, on compensation and benefits, I know usually we concentrate on this a lot because everybody, has a personal feeling to what he or she will take home each and every month. So you need to prepare for your salaries. You want to check the market, what is happening within the market. Are salaries competitive? Assuming you have a high turnover, you must understand why you are having a high turnover. Is it because of salary? If it is, you want to check what is happening in the market and then make sure you align to the market. If you want to be an employer of choice, you want to pay within the 50th percentile or 75th percentile, then you need to prepare for it. And preparing for it, you cannot just sit aloof and wait and say, oh, let's just pay the employees or let's give the employees a 15% increase. On what basis? You need to understand what is happening within the market, understand what other companies are doing, align and ensure that you get the right approval. It goes beyond just the salaries, other benefits. So medical insurance, are you providing that? Wellness, are you providing that? Life insurance, are you providing that? So you have to consider your total package for employees and understand where you sit within the market. Are you competitive to other players within your sector? If you are, you are good to go. But if you are not, then you need to prepare for it. Even if you are going into the following year, what should you expect in terms of salary increase? You need to check the market and ensure that you prepare accordingly. Talent management and employee relation. Once you have the talent in the organization, you need to keep them motivated. How are you going to keep them motivated? You need to make provision, coaching, giving them access to have interaction with other leaders, providing the necessary, training, having succession planning in place. All of this requires some funding. In my organization, when it comes to talent management, it's a whole process, and we use a tool for this. So this obviously comes with a cost, right? Employee relation, if you find yourself, especially in a unionized environment, you must engage the union. I say that the union are what? Partners of us. I know some HR don't really like, when we talk about unions, but I think we've gotten to a stage in our work environment where the union also seems to understand that partnership that they need to have with the business. So you need to make provisions for them. You need to prepare for them. You need to have engagement with them, have some seminars, some training to bring them on board, to let them understand the business position and the business strategy. So all of this 8 items, and I'm sure there could be more, forms part of HR budget, and you must align with all the requirements needed for you to have a successful year if you want to ensure that all your activities within the year is well planned for. Okay, moving on, we want to talk about HR budget preparation. So what do I do? How do I prepare for my budget? I've said this. First, you must understand your company's strategic goals and objectives. So going into 2024, what are the plans of the company? Are we looking at expansion? Are we looking at, reducing some activities because we're not doing well in that particular area? Are we looking at changing a product? Are we looking at bringing in some technology? So as HR, we must understand this, and it's important that you always have that direct interaction with your business leaders. Okay, so your CEOs, your directors, get the understanding of what the business is looking at achieving in the following year. With that, you can come back and sit and plan. What would I need to do as HR to ensure that the implementation of this technology happens and it's efficient and everybody is prepared to use it? What am I supposed to do with the plan or with a strategy to change our product? What will be the need from HR? What am I supposed to do with the introduction of a new product? What am I supposed to do with the expansion of our facility of our plant? When you have all of this at the back of your mind, you can itemize all the requirements, all the things that you need to do as HR and prepare for it. Having said that, you must also understand, the revenue that has been generated by the business at the point when you're about to start your budget. So you ask, what is our earning before interest and tax? I mean, the finance people will tell you more about this, but you want to understand and ask your business leaders. So how much can be allocated to HR to be able to achieve everything that probably the business is looking at achieving come the following year? So in your mind, you have a provisional fund allocation. It doesn't mean that is what you are going to strictly use, but at least it gives you an idea what is available for you to use. Okay, because the business might want to invest a portion of the revenue or of the profit into other ventures, and therefore there might not be a lot of funds allocated for everything. So it's important for you to understand what can be made available to you, and then you prepare accordingly. Review previous year's budget against what has been spent. In most organizations, and for me, HR, we run the payroll ourselves. So we have overview of everything in our payroll. At the end of the month, finance will do the entries into our financial system. You should be able to go to your finance team and ask them to give you a summary of everything that you have spent line by line. So when it's training, how much have we spent? When it's employee or staff busing, how much have we spent up to date? When it comes to salary, how much have we spent up to date? So you check that against your budget and align, am I spending within budget or am overspending? When you're able to do this, it can help you forecast into the following year. If you are underspending and it is such that in the coming year, that particular line activity is not going to be, or it's not part of the strategic plan, then you want to consider reviewing or decreasing the budget for that and putting the money into something else. So it is important for you to always, so we spoke about the incremental budget. So you always need to review your budget for the previous year against what you have spent. And then you need to analyze and forecast the needs for the coming year. So this is also in tandem with you understanding what the company wants to achieve in the coming year, what the company wants to do in the coming year. And you analyze exactly what you'd have to do as HR into the coming year. Based on this, you can then allocate fund according to the needs and objectives of the company. So then you would say, okay, for staff or for employee salaries, we can allocate a 15%, a 20%, knowing already that this is within market expectation. We can allocate maybe a 5% into something else. We can add a 2% more into training. We can add or invest some 10% into technology. And this can only be achieved when you're able to analyze and forecast the needs for the year and make room for unforeseen circumstances. I mean, COVID has taught us that there is the need for us to make provision for some unforeseen circumstances. Last year, some organizations had to pay COLA. Some paid it on a monthly basis. Some paid it as a one-time. I'm pretty sure that this was not budgeted for. I'm pretty sure. So it's a lesson, and it's important that once you've gone through this phase, you make room for some of this. You look at your employee population and you want to look at their tenure in the business. They've all been in the company 5 years and above, 7 years, 10 years. Usually, people after 5 years, they want to seek other opportunities. And if you are not able to provide for them, then they'll start looking for opportunities outside. So you must have this at the back of your mind. Look at the composition of your team. Do I envisage that in the coming year, I'm likely to probably lose some employees because I don't have a higher position for that person and there is nothing I can do about it? Do I need to prepare for it? You prepare for that. And once you've done all of this, you can now present your budget. You with your directors or with the board, you discuss, you tell them, you give the basis for which you are making this specific provision. Once you're able to justify the reasons why you want them to invest a 15% more into employee salary and give the basis for it, you are good to go. If you're able to justify why you think we need to increase our expenditure when it comes to training and it aligns to the business strategy and goal, I guess you'll be good to go. So in a nutshell, this is what I present to you as the preparation or the preparatory stages that you need to take when it comes to HR budget. Last but not the least item I would like to talk about is the tools that we can use. We always want to make sure that we work within our budget. On a good day, I would say that you should look at getting a software, an ERP. Why? Because when you have an ERP, it can help you to forecast, okay? And it helps you to track your spending. In my organization, I see that every month you get a report to tell you, okay, this is your budget, this is how much you have spent. And it's not just HR, it is to all cost center owners. So you get to know, you are able to tell how much you have spent, whether it's within budget or you're overspending, and then you want to look at what you can do to make sure that you work within budget. But if you do not have the money to, invest into ERPs and other software, you can use Microsoft Excel. In preparing some budget or some budget that I have done, I use Excel. You are good to go, especially if you don't have a very large population. With that, you can prepare the budget into two. One, the employee cost, employee salary related cost. You can prepare it based on projections into the following year. And then you look at the other general employee related costs. So let's say long service award, you want to look at monthly recognition award, maybe medicals and other, operational costs, stationaries, provision of maybe mobile data. You also separate it from the monthly employee cost so that when you submit this to management, they can differentiate between what is going to be paid every month and what is related to, other regular employee related activities. So team, thank you very much. This is what I want to share with all of us on HR budgeting and planning. And like once again, let me reiterate and emphasize that it is important and we need to take ownership of this aspect of our work as HR practitioner to understand the business needs, to prepare adequately, and to budget in accordance to the health and the muscle of our business. Let's not put in figures which the business cannot afford. It will make us look not aligned to the business strategy. It will make us look at, we do not understand the position of the business itself. And that's why I said it's important for us to know what the business financial position is. And based on that, we can make demands where required to help us meet our HR activities, meet our objectives, and ultimately meet the company's objectives. So thank you for your time, and I'm grateful to all of you and to Sedat for giving me this opportunity to share on HR budgeting and planning. Thank you.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Sedat HR Digest, brought to you by Sedat Consult, your trusted HR partner. So today we had Zach Adomako, who's taking us through a very important aspect of HR career, that is HR budgeting and planning. And now we have delved so much into it. So in case you missed this segment where he took us through HR planning and budgeting, you can go to our various social media platform or even our website. You can play the video and learn from there. So we will delve into questions. But before we delve into questions, I'd like to acknowledge our viewers. So we have Mavis, who is watching us from Techiman. We have Gladys from Bolga. We have Zakari Salamat, our loyal viewer from Kumasi. We have Sylvester from Ho. We have Richard from Techiman. Wow. We have Alex from Tema. He says that Sedat Consult, HR champions, consultants, papa. We have Safia. We have Caroline. We have Eric Yeboah. If you just joined, please let us know where you're watching us from so that we can acknowledge your presence. We have Justice Ankra from Golden Star Resources joining us from Accra. We have Yunaf Ali, HR business specialist, watching us from Suriname. We have Caleb. Caleb is also watching us. He's also an accountant. Wow. It is not only HR who are here only. So it's time for questions. Please let us have your questions so that our resource person can answer them. So before you bring your questions. I also have my question. Are you here? Zach, can
Yes,
you
I'm
hear
here.
me?
I'm with you. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so before my viewers drop in their question, I always also want to start so that it can give them opportunity. So we'll look at strategic alignment. How do you ensure that
Yeah.
HR planning and budgeting processes are aligned with overall strategic goal of the organization?
Okay, Eben, thanks very much for the question. So, like I said, as HR, you need to understand the strategic objective of the business. And once you have this understanding, it will help you or give you an idea the areas to invest in a bit more and the areas probably to reduce some investment as well. But it goes beyond just probably sitting with a CEO or managing director to understand the business objective. You need to move a step further to also sit with your departmental heads, especially when it comes to employee related matters. Probably a manager in a particular department is thinking of promoting an employee because he feels there's a need because of the change of work, because of an added task to that particular role. If you do not engage these managers or you do not engage this manager to understand this need, you will end up making provision for that employee, and you will be taken aback when the time comes and the manager says, no, I need to promote this employee. And that promotion might probably require an increase in salary twice than what you may have planned for. So it goes beyond just sitting with the CEO or the MD. You must come down to your other managers to sit with them to understand what their plans are in line with what the business want to achieve in the coming year. And once you're able to do this and put all of this together, it will help you plan better for the upcoming year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now the questions are coming. We have one from Rebecca. She says, "Can you share a sample of HR budget?" Definitely. I don't know if you can answer that. Can you share a sample of an HR budget?
Well, in fact, I was looking at sharing one, but unfortunately, I don't have it ready. Maybe later on, I can share something with Sedat, and then we can share with all our members and viewers. But like I said, it differs from company to company. You know, the components in your budget may differ. There are things that are could be the same, but others might be different, and even the process might be different. I can say in one of my HR budgeting, because we're using a system which had all the salaries already in place, and here I'm talking about, let's say, a midpoint salary. We are not allowed to even budget for salary again. All we need to do is to provide a head count for each, let's say, role, and also give the job grade. With that, the system is able to calculate what salary to estimate into the following year. So it depends on how your structure is, but there are easy to do template that you can use. I mentioned Excel. There are easy template that you can use to also, prepare your budget. So yeah, we can look at sharing something with our viewers some other time. Thank you. Yes, Ben.
Okay, so on this note, I would also like to announce to everyone that we'll be having a practical HR budgeting and planning training. So please take note when the time comes, you register, you definitely have a sample of how it looks like. Can you hear
Exactly.
me? So to our viewers,
Exactly. Yes.
we'll be having a detailed training on HR budgeting and planning. So please take notes. Just watch our various social media for the announcements. Once you join, you definitely have a sample of the budget. Okay. So someone also was also asking on the same But this one I wanted to find out: do they have available softwares? But somebody's also Rebecca is also back. He also wanted to find if there's a software like if
Yeah, there are a couple of softwares. You can have something from the ERP providers, Sage. Sage, I know Sage provides software for HR budgeting. Um, there are others from WorkPay, there's Zoho. So there are a couple of them. But here again, you have to be very mindful. You know, we are we are we do not work to work in isolation. So our softwares must be integrated. Depending on what financial software you are using, you want to make sure that you get a software that can integrate with your financial solution. Okay, so you would need to discuss to understand exactly what software your finance team is using if you have one, and then understand if whatever software is recommended or you identify can integrate with it, because without that it will be difficult for you to get the best benefit from this software. So it is important that before you recommend any software, you must check one from your finance team if you have a software you're using already, whether the software can integrate with that. Because when finance post or when they put in their entries, it must sync with the budget that you have done, and it should be able to provide you with a report on how you are spending and what levels your expenditure is. And if that is missing, then the software will not help. So let's take note of that.
okay. So keep your questions coming. Also follow us on our various social media platforms to watch this recording. Also, let's go back to the budget. When it always comes to budget and they are cutting down costs, the first area they cut down costs is employee training and development. I believe this is very familiar to every HR. So my question to you is that how do we allocate resources in the budget to support employee development and training initiative? And how do we measure their impact? Because I don't know whether they don't see the impact. That's why they say, oh, cut down in area of training. So if you can just throw more light into it so that as HR
Yes,
practitioners will be able to sail through when it comes to cutting down costs in this area.
I think I want to agree with you in the sense that most of the times we fail to present how the trainings we've offered has positively affected the business or has positively changed our business operation. I think that is where the error comes from. But if we're able to let management understand that because we provided this training and that training, it has translated into this profit. You know, when you're able to measure the impact of the training, the next time when you present a budget, nobody is going to fight you unless it is really above what is expected. For me, I think I've said in my case, because we're a free zone company, it's expected that there's a specific amount that we provide for training. Even with that, I still at times go beyond that. Why? Because there's a need. I look at my population, the employees, there's a need to upgrade some skills. And what has been provided probably will not be enough. So I'll justify. Um, we have this group of employees. These are their skills. We need to provide this training for them. In the previous years, we did this training A, B, C, and D. They were required. They were important. And obviously, it has helped us to achieve A, B, C, and D. Once you're able to do that, management wouldn't have any choice than to support you. Even if they have to cut, they will not cut drastically. But if you're not able to present to your management the impact of the training you've presented or you've offered, then obviously they will cut it off. And that's why we say that the training that we offer must be relevant. Now, some organization provide support for some further studies, and you would have someone in a certain field going to study something else. If you support or you sponsor such activity, what benefit has it brought to the organization? If there isn't any benefit, obviously management will not approve the next time you go for budget approval. So we must be in a position to let management understand the impact of the training on our business. If you're able to do that, yes, you can convince them to approve your training budgets for you. Thank you. Hi, Ben.
Okay, welcome back to Sidat HR Digest, brought to you by Sidat Consult Limited, your trusted HR partner. In case you're watching us, today's episode, we are having a discussion on HR budgeting and planning. And our resource person for today is Mr. Zakari Adumaku. He's the HR BP for Bunge and Krokla. Bunge and Krokla.
I know that
That
the
one you
name
have
is
to
a
mention it
mouthful.
yourself. Oh.
The name is
So,
Bungi Lodes Cochran.
yes, so
Bungi Lode. It is that. So I do.
okay, so we will give you an opportunity to tell us what your organization do to also enhance
Sure.
visibility too as well. So
Yeah.
before you give us your final remarks, you give us opportunity to know your organization. So we also delve deeper into it. You know that metrics and key performance indicators are very key in every activities of HR. So we just want to know how are we going to communicate HR performance metrics to senior leaderships and stakeholders, especially when it comes to budget. So, what are the key metrics or KPIs you consider crucial in the effectiveness of HR planning and budgeting? Can you share
Okay.
that with us? What are some of the key
Yeah.
KPIs that you can share with us?
Okay. So once you have your budget approved, there are specific things that you want
Zach,
to
please, can you hear
achieve.
me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me as
Zach, can
well?
you hear me?
Yes,
Hello, Zach. Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Okay, I guess you can hear me. So I was saying that um, once you
Yes,
have
please go
approval,
ahead.
yes, once you have approval to spend, your money is allocated or funds is allocated to you, you must come back after the period to report. And one way to report is to also test the pulse of employees in by engaging in some or getting some feedback from employees. So areas that usually employees would complain about, which you are putting some intervention, you want to check what has been the outcome of those interventions that you put in place. How would employees score you? It shouldn't be that You, the HR, will just say, okay, we said we're going to do A, B, C, and D, and we've just been able to do it. You need to get this feedback from employees, get their candid feedback, and let them understand that you are getting it to help improve on your activities. When you're able to go through this kind of survey, it will give you some, report or some data which you can present to management to say that, okay, based on what we plan to do and based on what we have done over the period, this is the outcome and this is what employees are saying. And if it is very positive, it gives a good impression to management to understand that, okay, yes, our investment in these various areas that we said we're going to do has yielded the necessary result. Um, as HR also, we must be interested in, some analytics. So when we are having training, when we are having other events, we must make sure we record some of these things. So you want to take the number of the specific trainings that you are doing. You must take even the number of hours you are spending. I know for some organization, like my organization, even the hours of training given within a period is something that we report on. So you need to put all of this together. You must also ensure that whatever training especially is offered, how it has translated into filling a gap or taking away some previous unattended situation. Once you have this information, you're able to present it well to management. Then it would indicate to manager or to show to management that yes, the investment we put in for this year has yielded the necessary or required results, and we should probably keep on doing with it and to get our employees engaged to help achieve our objectives. Thank you.
To keep data very, very, very key and essential in your HR activities. So before we draw down the curtains, you know that HR, one aspect of HR is continuous improvement.
Yeah.
We are not complacent in activity initiative. So what are the strategies do you implement to continuously improve the HR planning and budgeting processes over time? So continuous improvement is very key. What are some of the strategies planning processes?
Okay, so once again, it is not you just doing what you think it's supposed to be done and clapping for yourself for getting it done. It's about engaging your stakeholders to understand what impacts what you've offered to the business as or the impact of your offering to the business. So I just spoke about you engaging employees. You must also have this discussion with your line managers, your departmental heads to understand what has gone well with all the services that you've provided as HR. Okay, if they're able to spell it out to you, okay, we did this well, we're able to give training well, we're making our payments right. There were no inaccuracies in our payroll and our payments, and probably we did not do this well. We didn't provide a lot of services in terms of maybe medical or health work or other employee engagement activities. You must gather this information from your leadership team, and with that you would be able to identify areas that need a little more improvement, a little more push, and you can then work towards it. Because if you sit in isolation in your office and say were allocated 100,000 USD. I've used 100,000, so I've done everything right. You may be missing the point, or you may be getting it wrong. So you need to engage, and you must engage the leaders of the organization as well for them to give you their feedback on what has gone well, what has not gone well, and based on that, you can improve in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zach. It's a privilege to have you today. But before you give us your closing remark, you just have to do just two things for us. Just tell us about your organization and your closing remarks so that people could get to
Okay.
know the kind of organization you work with for visibility. Yes, please,
Sure.
if you don't mind.
Thank you very much, Eben. Once again, grateful for the opportunity. So I work with a company called Bungi. Our legacy name is Bungi Loaded Scotland. Now it's an American-owned company. It's a multinational manufacturing company. Our regional office is based in the Netherlands, but our global headquarters is in St. Louis in the US. We can be found in about 40 countries, and we are into the food business. In Ghana and in West Africa, we are mainly into shea butter processing. So what we call shea fractionation. So we fractionate shea butter into three different parts. Shea stearine, which we export to North America. It is used as what we call cocoa butter equivalent for the production of chocolate. And then we have the shea olein, which is mainly used in cooking oil. And then the last product, which is gum, some use it for the production of soap, and also some use it to as energy for their factories. So basically, this is what we do. We have similar factories in Europe and in Asia, in Malaysia and in the Netherlands. So we feed them with shea butter. You know, the shea nut is a wild crop which can be found only in West Africa. So we procure shea nuts across the West Africa region from Ghana, Burkina, Mali, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, and we crush it into butter and then further process it for export. So basically, that's where I work. I've been there
Wow.
for 7 years. We started a plant, but the company has been here for many years. I mean, previously we were just exporting butter until some 7 years ago when we decided to build a plant in Tema. So we are located in the Free Zone Enclave where we process this shea butter for export. And then, as
Okay,
part
thank
of
you
my
very much. So, as you draw
closing
down
remarks,
your closing
I
remarks,
I would like to say that as HR practitioners, we need to be conversant with the needs of the business. We must make sure that we understand our business so well that when funds are allocated to us, we can use them to meet the business organization. This is what, or these are the things that will put us at the top and will take us to that C-suite level, and we'll be sitting with the directors in the boardroom. So let's take our planning very serious. Let's be conversant with data. Let's not shy away from data. Let's embrace it, and let us be strategic in our planning and in our budgeting for the growth of our businesses. So thank you once again, Eben. Thank you, Sadat Consult, and thanks to everyone who joined today's call. I wish all of us the best in our various organization and endeavors. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you to Mr. Zachary Adomako. Today we had the privilege of hosting Mr. Zachary Adomako. He is the current HR VP for Middle East and chairman of the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management for the Accra chapter. So if you just joined that, we had a discussion on HR budgeting and planning. So if you just missed our discussion, you have not missed out. All just you have to do is to go to our various social media handles or pages and just tune into the recordings and you would be able to listen to what you missed out. So just go to our various social media pages, you'll be able to. So Sedat HR Digest is brought to you by Sedat Consult, your number one, your trusted HR partner. You are wondering what we do. Sedat is into HR advisory services. We provide recruitment and talent acquisition, training and development, staff outsourcing, compensation and benefits, salary benchmark, performance management. We also offer job analysis and evaluation. So to contact us, we are around Ashaiman Runabout off the Michelle Camp Road near the GCB Bank, Tema. So you can also locate us on our website www.sedatconsultlimited.com or write to us info@sedatconsultlimited.com. You can phone us by 0244 629 245 or 0550-883936. Sedat Consult, your trusted HR partner. So for your information, we will be having our HR budgeting and planning training. So watch out on our various social media page for the date, the venue, and the time so that you can register to join part. So we'd like this to use this opportunity to acknowledge our viewers who just joined us or who joined us throughout the entire session. So I'll take it once again to acknowledge everyone. Mavis from Techiman, Gladys from Bolga, Zachary from Kumasi, Sylvester from Home Military Barracks. We had Richard from Techiman. We also had Alex from Tema, Rebecca, we had Alberta, we had Michael. He always said that Sedat Consult, HR champion HR consultancy. That is who we are. We also had Safia, Caroline, Eric, Mayfair, Dolores, Simstan, Gladys. We also had the opportunity to have Caleb Labi joined us, Munaf Ali, and also Justice Ankra of Golden Star Resources. So we say thank you all for watching this episode. It's brought to you by Sedat Consult. Every Sunday, we bring to you Sedat HR Digest, where we talk about any HR issues. So catch us. My name is Ebenezer, and I have been your host for tonight. See you and have a blessed week. Thank you.
Thank you.